Hello everyone and welcome back to Rogers Reports. I'm your host with the most. You can call me Rogers, and today Villa have been linked with yet another centre-back as we look to strengthen our defensive line going in to the 2025-2026 season, and this is another Champions League finalist. Now, why do I say another? Because last season we went and signed Ian Maatsen, Champions League Team of the Season, also made it to the final with Borussia Dortmund, and now we want to dip in to that same market of 22 of the world's best players as we are targeting YANN BISSECK, currently playing for Inter Milan, a 6'4" towering centre-back who could unlock yet another change to Villa's play style and perhaps push us back up the table. So if you are enjoying the transfer and Aston Villa content, including my new FIFA series, it is out, so go and watch it. Last video on the channel. Leave a like, subscribe down below with notifications on. We're that close to 3,600 subscribers, so it would mean the world if you could go down there and help a brother out. But without further ado, let's look at YANN BISSECK's stats for Inter Milan this season. The first thing for me that stands out about YANN BISSECK is hello Mr. Goal involvements from centre-back. Now, didn't really play that many minutes of football last season. 1,638, 17 starts from 27 games. So it wasn't exactly like he was, in and around that first team all the time. A market value of £33.2 million. Apparently Inter are looking to sign some different centre-backs, so they might be willing to let go of a couple. Currently is injured until mid-July, but we're pretty much there or thereabouts now anyway. But like I said, 24 years of age, 196 centimetres tall, that is about 6'4" and a half, and got 3 goals and 2 assists in those 17 starts. It's a very, very impressive return for a centre-back. We look at his career and he has been a little bit here, there and everywhere. He's been at Inter since July 2023, but before that FC Köln, Heinstein on loan, Roda on loan, Victoria de Guimarães on loan, which is actually a Brazilian team, I think, and then AGF, played for them for a season before getting picked up by Inter Milan, and where he has managed 67 games for them, to be fair. If we look at his season there, you can see did play 13 times in the Champions League for them this season. It's not like he's a bit part player. He had his part to play and he did do it well, getting 8 minutes in that Champions League final thrashing. Now, if we go down here, but look at his stats for the Serie A, 3 goals again. It's going to put him at the top of that category. 2 assists, probably unlucky not to be even higher up there, but 88.5th percentile. A pass accuracy. Now this, again, we've got to think about how Unai Emery plays football. And Unai Emery plays football out from the back. We know Konsa and Pau Torres will more time than not have the ball more than pretty much anyone else in that Villa team. So the fact that he has a 92.4% pass completion rate off of 1,160 passes, for me, is a very positive sign. He also has that height as well, and we're going to be seeing how he does challenging for the ball in the air very shortly. But again, very, very exciting, very promising. Long ball accuracy isn't quite there, but that's fine. 7 chances created for his teammates. Crosses I'm not looking into too much. Why on earth is he out there getting crosses? Do you know what I mean? Touch in opposition box relatively high. Dribble success, not fantastic. But we go down here. There we go. I don't know if you guys watched, if you've been on the channel for a while and you watched any of my videos last season, you will know I absolutely hated how weak Aston Villa were in the air defensively. When Onana wasn't playing and he wasn't getting back for the set pieces, and we didn't have Tyrone Mings, there was no one else in that team that would regularly challenge and win headers. There we go, 73.8%. He is putting that 6'4.5" frame to very, very good use. Did concede 2 penalties, so maybe a little bit of that Matty Cash rashness about him. But a tackle success ratio of 70% is very, very impressive. Wins nearly 60% of his duels. That aerial percentage, I just absolutely love it. But this is him compared to, should we look at his Champions League stats actually quickly? That's a good, also, a good measure. He's playing against Europe's elite players. We are going to look at him versus Europe's top 5 leagues very, very shortly. Nearly got a goal, 0.55 expected goals, puts him actually quite high up. Pass completion still relatively high, 86.8%. That is higher than Pau Torres managed this season. Dribble success, though, in the Champions League, very, very good, 66.7%. And then again, defensively, tackles won 71%, 66% of his duels, and again 70% of his aerial duels won. The amount of aerial duels he did win in his 13 games puts him near the top 20th percentile for his position in the Champions League. very, very good. And he didn't concede a penalty, which is always nice to see. But how does he compare overall against Europe's top 5 leagues? And this is going to be his per 90 stats. So remember, only started 17 out of 27 games. His per 90s could, paint him in an even better picture when he actually gets time on the football pitch. Let's see. Did you expect anything else? I mean, what an absolutely outrageous offensive output YANN Bisseck had last season. It wasn't even last season, it's over the last 365 days. Now, 94th percentile for penalty goals. I mean, that is pretty much, it's outrageous, really. 99th percentile for non-penalty XG. 95th percentile for total shots. Top 10th percentile for assists. Non-penalty XG plus his expected assists over the last 365 days. And this is against Europe's top 5 leagues. So the most elite centre-backs in Europe. He was in the top 2% per bloody 90 minutes played. It's very, very good. His combined pass completion from both league and cup competitions, 90.6%, puts him in the top 20th percentile for that stat as well. We saw that his dribbles weren't actually that great in the league this season, but actually his progressive carries, so carrying it out of defence, bringing his team forward, top 6th percentile, and his touches and progressive passes received, both very, very high for those stats as well. We're talking top 1 and 2 percentile. Tackles, to be fair, per 90, bottom 10th percentile. Clearances, bottom 34th, but the rest of the output is very, very good. We've seen that he has a good aerial duel win rate. We're going to be watching a video of him later on. When I can see it, I know you guys can't, but some of the players that he's being compared to when we're looking through the teams here, and actually I can flick him up there to be fair. Gabriel Magalhaes from Arsenal, who is one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League. Wilfried Singo, who a lot of elite clubs are sniffing around in this transfer window. Trevor Chalobah, another player I actually said I wouldn't mind at Villa. I think he's done very, very well for Crystal Palace earlier on in this season. And then Cuti Romero, a World Cup winning centre-back. So we know that's kind of his vibe. We know that's how he plays. Let's have a look at him in action and then see how he'd fit into this Aston Villa team. And here we have a couple of clips of YANN Bisseck winning the header there for his team. And when they talked about progressive carries, I bet you didn't expect to see him doing that down the wing, did you? Now here, again, defending a corner. I mean, look how much height he managed to get on that header. Here again, attacking the ball at the back post, flicks it across and nearly getting an assist there. And you'll see there's quite a lot of clips of him on the ball. And I mean, look at that for a challenge is absolutely fantastic. Here again, you can see him towards the back post there. That's what we need in this team. We need someone who can actually win the ball. That's actually a decent little flick down. Is that going to be an assist? I think that was Çalhanoğlu, who we know has an absolute thunder strike on him. Here he is again in a defensive scenario. Very, very good defensive header, good awareness. Here we're going to see him one-on-one against a much smaller winger. And you gave him a sniff and he absolutely said, thank you for that sniff. I'm going to probably leave with the ball now. Here he is again, winning that aerial duel. He is number 31. Guendouzi, a player that Aston Villa are regularly linked with, puts the ball in there, steps out of the back line and wins his challenge very, very well. Here he is. And he's been sucked in there. He got sucked into the dodgy touch, but the recovery was absolutely fantastic. And you can see the size. You can see the size of this man in these clips is almost unholy. Imagine him and Onana in the same team. Like physically in the tunnel, you'd have to be looking at them thinking, how on earth are we going to overpower these guys physically? Because this is absolutely ridiculous there. But let's address the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room for me is the fact that he is a right-footed centre-back. And we already have a certain Ezri Konsa, who I think has effectively made himself undroppable over the last couple of seasons. I think Emery likes him. I think everyone in the squad rates him. He barely ever gets dribbled past. He's Mr. Consistent for Aston Villa. And I think over the last 5 years since he's been at the club, he has been one of our, if not our, ultimate stand-out player. Playing for England now, absolutely deserved. Now, one thing we did do when we did get into the Champions League spots is that we pushed Ezri Konsa out to playing right-back. And he'd done a pretty good job. Now, I think, again, he is an elite centre-back. I'd love to see him at centre-back. But he does... The one thing I think in Ezri's game that's lacking is, because he's only... I think he's scraping 6 foot tall. He just doesn't really win particularly many aerial duels. He's got the pace to play out on the right, and he has the ability to play right-back. Yes, is he a better centre-back than right-back? Absolutely. But if we're going to get Bissek in, you'd imagine, one, you're not getting him in to sit on the bench, and two, you're bringing him in so that we have that physical presence in defence that perhaps we have been lacking since Diego Carlos's knee blew up into 17 pieces. And to be fair, Tyrone Mings has done the same thing as well. Now, when Mings is in the team, he does add that aerial presence that is just so crucial with how many big strikers are coming through in world football right now. But with Ty, is he going to be able to play every game? We know every time he goes down with that knee, you're biting your fingernails thinking, is this finally the one that's going to end his career? And Pau Torres, for all of his weaknesses physically, for all of his weaknesses in the air, on the ball he's fantastic. And Ty does sometimes slow down the play a little bit because he's just a little bit slower on the ball and not as good on the ball. So I think Pau ultimately is Emery's guy, right? I think he's the second most capped player that Emery's ever used in his whole career. He's brought him in from a club that he had him at before, knows the player very well, and trusts the player a lot. So he, I think, is not going to be dropped for Tyrone Mings a lot next season. There was a lot of Mingsy last season. I think that's just because Pau Torres got injured. It was luck of the draw. So I think we are going to look at something like this, right? Konsa on the right, and then Bissek in that right centre-back role to provide that physical edge that our defence lacked last season next to Pau. And I think that makes Ian Maatsen very, very important. Now, let me tell you why. Now, ultimately, at the moment, we have generally our two fullbacks who will get forward. Now, when that does happen, this is generally Matty Cash. I'm just going to move Konsa forward for argument's sake. And Maatsen will get forward a little bit as well. Onana, we know Onana likes to get mucked in, to be fair, and just go on those like mazy runs. We tend to end up with a back three of Pau. This would be Konsa in this scenario. And we've all seen it, and it's very, you can go back and watch any of the highlights of Villa. And when I analyse our pre-season friendlies, we'll see what we're going to do. But Kamara effectively drops into a right-back role. Now, I think what we could be looking at next season is Kamara staying in the pivot with Maatsen, because Maatsen does do that. He's done it for the Netherlands under-21 team in the under-21 Euros, and Konsa just making that back three and then allowing Maatsen to be that floater from the back that goes forward, and that's how we're going to get the ball. Maybe even he pushes forward there and gets into the box, but I think the back three ultimately would be those in possession, and then Konsa, when we're out of possession, plays a traditional right back. We know he can do it. Bissek adds a different dimension to the defence. It seems like an upgrade. Ultimately, this is all speculation. A deal would be in and around the £30 million mark. I'll put it that side, his current salary up on the screen. We know we're going to have to reduce our player salary output, so that could be a factor. And it would mean ultimately Konsa going to right back. And I don't know whether I and a lot of you guys will be happy with that. But please do comment down below. What do you guys think about this link with YANN Bisseck? He's a good, powerful, strong, massive defender who has ability on the ball. Still young, only 24 years of age. Yep, he's got that current injury, coming back mid-July. It would change the way that Villa plays. But every single player that we're being linked with, I think, suggests a change in our play style. And it's very, very exciting. But I don't know what exactly to think and whether we should do it. It is a risk. But what do you guys think though? YANN Bisseck, comment down below. And I'll see you guys soon. The Villa.